Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to see all of you. We are back from Barcelona and the WPC, which you'll be hearing about next week. It was fabulous, except for the fact that I got COVID on the way home, but I'm okay now. I want to welcome our speaker today, Jacob Kidney from the Quiver, and he's going to tell you about the Quiver, which is an online magazine for people with Parkinson's. It features art and poetry and songs and all kinds of creative efforts by people with Parkinson's. So Jacob's motivation stems from having a movement disorder called essential tremor since he was 8 years old. His mother also had essential tremor, and his father had Parkinson's. They were both had it for over 30 years. So this has obviously played a crucial part in shaping his life. He has become a social worker. He graduated in 2016, and he worked at the Rochester Medical Center as a social worker at an outpatient mental health clinic. And he's also beginning his graduate studies to become an LCSW. He's a book club and support group leader with Mission TV, and he hopes to do a field placement in his thesis based on working with people who have Parkinson's. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let him talk to you about Quiver and his relationship with Quiver. It's a very interesting place, and I hadn't really explored it a lot before this week because I just hadn't had the time, but there's a lot of really wonderful artwork on there, a lot of books by people with Parkinson's, and poetry and all kinds of other good things. So Jacob, it's all yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you all. Pull up the Quiver here. I live in Rochester, New York, and as Sharon said, I am in the process of becoming a licensed clinical social worker, and my goal is to become a therapist, a mental health therapist for people with movement disorders, because I know personally how important that side of someone's health is to continuing to live a good quality of life and to continuing to do the things that you love to do. And this is where the Quiver can play such an important part in helping you to inspire you to continue to do the things that you love to do. So how I got connected with the Quiver, a few years ago, I had a book club for people who have Parkinson's, and I was approached by the founder of the Quiver, and he asked me to run the book section for the Quiver in connection with my book club. So I started to do that. And recently, the founder, his name is Christopher Lyon, he asked me to start to try and connect with different support groups, to just talk to people about what we do and to try and get more people engaged and involved. I also work with Karen. I'm sure you all know Karen.
Hi.
Christopher started the Quiver. He's had Parkinson's, and he has a love for poetry, and he found that poetry really helps him to deal with accepting his disease and all the different stages that he has gone through. I feel like the Quiver has something to offer for many different people with different interests. Now, from the home page, we're going to scroll down. We're going to jump right in, and we have a variety of different types of art. This is a free resource for people with Parkinson's. We have we publish different types of artwork created by people who have Parkinson's. Artwork, essays, visual art, audio art, music, photography. We just created a podcast and also books created by people with Parkinson's. This just goes to show, and these are people from all over many different countries. People with Parkinson's are doing many amazing things all around the globe. Let's start with artwork. Okay, as you can see, there's a lot of different visual artists that have published on the Quiver. If you're looking for a specific artist that you know, you can go down and look through the variety of different artists that we have. Let's see, let's find Ingrid. I want to show you Ingrid Hoff. Okay. So Ingrid Hoff, she has Parkinson's. She's from Germany. This picture that she created, it's called Eyes, Fishes, and Tears. The moment you awake in the morning and you realize that you can't move, you must be bold. And that is the only beginning. It is allowed to show some tears. The fishes are the symbol of hope. Hope helps you to be bold. During my holidays in South Germany, in the Black Forest, I draw this picture. It is sometimes not easy to admit the sadness that a disease like Parkinson's brings. But even fighters like us sometimes come to tears. They are allowed, they are a part of it, they're a sign of our strength. So we all express ourselves in different ways. Ingrid expresses herself. This is her creative outlet. This is how she, when she's going through something challenging, maybe she's having a rough day, this is how she gets that out. Instead of just keeping it inside her head or her body, this is how she gets it out, how she expresses it. It's how she deals with it, it's therapeutic for her to express herself in this way about her experience with Parkinson's. I'm curious, is there anyone here that loves to draw or paint? Joanne? Pam? Can you tell me a little bit about how you like to, you're muted.
Hi.
Hello, Pam.
I'm newly diagnosed, so I'm still in
Okay.
a bit of, sort of absorbing a lot of information. But one of the things I let go was my artwork. I was thinking with Parkinson's, I may not be able to do it again. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
And I do like to draw and I like to paint, and I've just gotten away from it.
Mm.
So I'm here to be inspired.
Absolutely. And I think that's something very common when you're first diagnosed. You feel like you're not going to be able to continue doing what you did in the past. Maybe there are some things that you might have to do differently. But
Right.
as you can see, there are artists. There are many, many different artists in many different countries that are still continuing to do what they love. This guy, Robert Keane, he's had Parkinson's since he was, I want to say, like 10 years old.
He told me he's had it for 50 years. I was just chatting with him today. He is so inspiring.
Yeah. He's a writer, and he went, I mean, he's had it pretty much his whole life. So he's had to, this is how he he survives. This is how he keeps going. It's what gives him inspiration. It's what gives him motivation to continue to write, continuing to engage and do different things. There's another, let's see. This one right here. So I'm going to play a video for you. There's also like a few different visual artists who create different types of videos. Let me connect to my speaker here. This is one of my favorites. It is trying.
Here we,
Okay. Might have to skip this one. Oh, here we go.
yes.
The air is fresh this morning. And I am walking fast. Yea, listen, my bones are happy inside my skin. My fingers are snapping. So I add a step or two, a skip, step, step, and step aside. I can almost forget that I have what I have. But I never do. I notice the wind shaking hands with the branches, the sky threading blue through my eyes. This is how I'd like you to remember me. From the inside out. Back when my heart was folded so neatly under my ribs.
Every time I watch that, it just gets something going in me.
It was great.
Those-
It was a little jumpy. I suggest everybody watch it at home later, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was Deborah.
Could you hear
Deborah
that okay?
It was hard to hear, but I heard most of it. I heard the narration, but it was kind of jumpy.
Okay.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, you want me to try it again?
Yeah.
Maybe loading speed is like, it seemed to be slow loading from the other website. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should just move on with this thing. Let's see if it works better.
How's the sound?
not great.
Not great? Okay.
No,
So I'll send you the link and for people to watch this afterwards.
okay, great. Okay,
So as you can see here, we have a variety of different types of artists who publish their art through the Quiver. Let's see. We have photography, we have music. We also have a book section. All of our books were written by people who have Parkinson's. There's a variety of poetry. Let me show you the different types here. We have different categories from advice, living better, caregiving, children's humor, memoirs, nonfiction, poetry and sports. This one was written by my friend Suzanne, and she wrote this for her grandkids and for other kids, just to teach them kind of about Parkinson's. If you ever were looking through here and you were wondering where you could find the book, you can click on the picture and it will take you to whatever website has the book for sale. We have, let's see, I know, this one, Sharon just said that you had a meeting with the PD movers, right?
no, they haven't met with us yet.
Oh,
We
you
have not
haven't.
had that one.
You-
We
you
had the
will
ribbon
be.
of road ahead.
Okay, okay.
With Carol Klupney's book we had. We've had a few, actually several of the books that we have on there, but this one we haven't had yet, but I do know I know Denise and Bernard, who
Okay.
were authors of the book.
Yeah, this book is a compilation of narratives of African American and Black individuals and caregivers who are living and thriving with Parkinson's disease. The goal of the storybook is to inspire and connect individuals in the community by sharing the experiences of these remarkable individuals. So this is a group of people, all shown in the picture here. People who are working with a doctor to really help engage this community. This is like a shorter book, kind of like a picture book, but it has information, also stories. There's stories kind of mixed in with that. It's a really great group of people. Any questions about this section?
Yeah, I have a question, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just curious whether the writing or the artwork has to be directly about Parkinson's. I mean, I have Parkinson's disease. I'm a writer, I have poetry and a book, but I'm not, I wrote them before I knew I had Parkinson's, so they're not specifically about it.
Okay. I think that could be included. Yeah, let me see.
Certainly the poetry,
Certainly, absolutely.
but the most of the books are focused on the topic of
Yeah,
Parkinson's.
that makes sense.
Or
Yeah.
biographies. There are people sharing their stories, and many of them have never written books before. So speaking to the creative spark, people find that they've never written before, but they want to share their stories. So I think that this website exists as a curation of sharing stories and wisdom. That you can find a lot of support just within this website by looking at the art, reading, because it really touches you, and it's something that's going to keep growing and maybe inspire other people to write a book, share
Yeah.
their story.
I have learned so much from reading about people's stories from this website. I've learned more in the past few years just reading about people's stories than I have in my whole previous life before that. And so just like your story, and my point also is that your story has a lot to teach other people, because everyone's story is different, how they got here.
Jacob, I want
Yeah.
to, I want to thank you. I'm in your list. You posted my essay called
Yeah.
Sisyphus in the Golden Year.
Your essay, let me look it up for you.
Susan Lehman, Lehman. Should be there.
Okay, it was an essay.
Yeah, long one.
So we go to home page, we go down to type, we can go to essays, and then go back to artist, and they're sorted by the last name, Lehman.
I love the picture of the rock, pushing that big rock up the hill. Did you choose that, Susan?
It was chosen for me.
Oh, it's right there. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's Sisyphus.
Wow.
So that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I appreciate it because it's a long form essay and not everybody will publish long form. So I really appreciate it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any artwork or any essays like Susan's, or a book or poetry, visual art, feel free to contact us and we can publish it. Or if you know someone, we can also publish that for you.
Lauren Simmons asked if anybody has felt more creative since their diagnosis, and it's a very common thing that we've been hearing, that a lot of people are finding new ways, new outlets for themselves in creative ways. I know for me, I actually did painting before. I did calligraphy, which I can no longer do, but I was not a writer. Now I've become a writer. So my creativity shifted. Lauren takes amazing photographs of nature, and I don't know if she's submitted anything. Lauren, you should, because your photos are terrific. But this sounds like the place for any of those outlets. If you're doing artwork that's new to you because of Parkinson's, people who had never picked up a paintbrush before are now painting. Is it the extra dopamine we're getting from our medications? Who knows? Whatever it is, it's pretty good.
You know, I think when you get a diagnosis like this, is one of the things it does is it frees you from inhibitions of something you might want to do. So, so you sort of say there's a time limit in life, and I'm a writer, so this is not new, but there's a time limit in life, and sort of I'm going to cuss, so everybody knows I'm going to cuss. Fuck it, I'm going to go forward. Fuck it, I'm going to paint. Fuck it, I'm going to write something. Fuck it, I'm going to try. I think that's more than extra dopamine. I think it's a certain mental freedom of, if you're not going to do it now, when?
It removed my filter. I never wrote poetry in my life, and I'd have to say that poetry came out of left field for me with my diagnosis of PD. And sometimes I become Dr. Seuss on the loose, and I don't know where it's coming from. And it would come out spontaneously in times of anxiety, and that was how I expressed myself. And I don't know where it came from. So that is a mystery and a gift. So at times it comes out, and I try and write it down. And people, it does come out of nowhere sometimes. But I mean, maybe
even if maybe you have kind of like stopped doing what you did before your diagnosis, or maybe you don't really know how to express yourself in new ways. We do have a few different events that can help people, to teach people how to begin to express themselves through writing. Or we have open poetry mic night once a month, where you can come and read your poetry or any poetry that you like. This is ran by the Quivers Chuck and Jan Sargent.
Cool.
And it's international too.
They are great. Jan is in the UK. So this is the first Monday of every month. It started on June 5th, and that's 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So their goal is to have a safe, validating space for people to read their writing in a community of others who care about language and creative expression. We will be more than an open mic. We will react to each poem, spend some time with it, celebrate its charms. We will be less than a workshop. All feedback will be positive and encouraging. This is a Zoom-based environment. So even if you're not into poetry, you could come and just listen. And you could talk and give your feedback on the different poetry that people are reading. But it's just a way to expose yourself to something new and see if that's something that you might be interested in. See if it sparks anything in you. And if you wanted to actually learn to write poetry, we do have a poetry workshop where there's an 8-session poetry online workshop for people with Parkinson's and their caregivers. I know, Karen, you did.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned what it is actually. It was actually very therapeutic because it went through the stages of acceptance and dealing with and processing the diagnosis of Parkinson's. So for me, as I was going through my diagnosis, it's run by Tara Broderick. It was very much like expressing your emotions and putting the meaning of this diagnosis into words. So it goes from the point of your diagnosis to the acceptance, to the anger, to all the parts of things that you experience as a human being. And then, it was fabulous. We met once a week and we became very close friends. I made a lot of really good friends in the workshop. And at the end, it was just amazing to have this compilation of poetry.
So for someone who maybe is not a poet,
yeah,
and doesn't read poetry, what could they expect in their first session with this workshop?
The first workshop we did, she just asked, write down your favorite words and your least favorite words, 4 of each, and create a poem about it. So I could, say, thorns, mud, pink, anything. And then we would take 20 minutes to just create a quick poem and then read it, just kind of like let go and, write anything. And then we would have an assignment. She did send out emails weekly, and it was very focused and directed, at the process of expression. It doesn't all have to rhyme. It's more like the flow of it, and the meaning. And a lot of the poetry that is in the Quiver were poems that were created in this workshop. So it's cathartic in many ways every week as we read our poem that we created. So one week was Galloping into Tears, and that had to do with the grief. And everyone wrote their own poem of their experience. And it could be long or short, it could anything. So I think it's helpful for anyone that has never even written poetry or tried. it's worth doing.
Is there anyone who loves poetry here? Who else loves poetry here? Yeah, Suzanne?
Oh, you me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a weird experience back in 2000. I woke up one day and words started coming through. I'm not a poet, I am a writer. Words started coming through that definitely were poetry. And it was a very mysterious process. I wasn't sure where they were coming from. Someone earlier said that out of the blue, I think. The last person said.
Are you writing it down as soon as it comes?
I did start writing it down.
Good.
I would wake up and it would be early in the morning and I would grab a piece of paper. I kept them on my bed and I started writing them down. And they're beautiful. I can't believe I wrote. I didn't feel like I wrote them at all. They were coming from some other.
It's almost like, yeah, it just comes to you and you don't know where it's coming from.
Exactly.
So there is a place on the website where under contact, there's a way to submit your work
I'd like to do that because I
right
think.
there under contact.
Okay,
then-
how do I want to get on the mailing list for Quiver. How do we do that?
So you can go down to contact and submit your contact info here. But also if you want to submit your artwork, so you go to contact, it'll bring you to this page and then fill out the form on the submit your artwork page.
Okay, I don't even know what the website is, but quiver.com.
.org. I did put the link in the chat box for everybody.
We will send all that information out to you.
Thank you.
You can see it
So-
also right there. It's just the quiver.org.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right here. Just thequiver.org.
The Quiver, okay.
And then you just fill out your information, your email, and then what type of artwork it is, and then about your art, additional information, message. And then you can attach a picture, a headshot of yourself, a brief bio, an image or document of the artwork, and then submit it.
And you short pieces are okay. I did write a short piece.
Yes, yeah, it could be 4 or 5 words, 3 lines, and anything. You can choose artwork to go with it that you find, or the poetry editor will find a photo.
But you can also send short pieces that aren't poetry as well, if they're related. to
Yes,
Parkinson's.
yes, exactly. Anything that comes, that's like, just like Suzanne said, or Susan said, like the essays, excerpts,
Yes,
thoughts.
good. Okay. Good.
Sir, do we have any other poets in the room? Or anyone that maybe is interested in trying poetry?
No?
That's okay. What other expressive outlets do people have here? I'm
How about
interested
music?
because not like a expressive outlet doesn't have to be something like drawing or painting or music or writing. Everyone express themselves in different ways. The point of the Quiver is to find creative ways to dealing with your current problems that you have. And finding everyone can be creative. But you can be creative in how you cook food. You can be creative in your lifestyle. You can be creative in how you exercise. You can be creative in how you engage with your family and your friends. Creativity is a human characteristic. Everyone can find their creativity, but it's not always like in this exact way. And I know like as like I've gotten older and my condition progressed for a period of time, I had to start to be creative in my lifestyle and find creative ways that I could still continue to live my life, continue to try and have a career and find creative ways to take care of myself while I'm still trying to live my life. And I found that in I used to play the piano. I still do sometimes. But that definitely got harder as I went along. But I found other ways to creatively express myself. And I do that through yoga. I'm a yoga teacher now. I practice yoga. That's like whenever I'm having a hard time with something, especially movement disorder related, that's how I express myself. I listen to music and I practice yoga, or I meditate, or I will exercise. It depends on how I feel, but I try and be creative with how I deal with my fatigue, or my if I'm feeling like anxious or depressed, or depending on how I'm feeling, I will try and just be creative with how I solve that problem. It doesn't always have to be the same exact way. There could be many different ways, and the Quiver is just something to give you some ideas, to get that ball rolling, to how you can be creative yourself.
Sometimes in a moment, you see something amazing and you just want to take a picture of it. Like today I walked outside and I saw a thorny bush and there was only one rose on it. And I just had to take a picture of that one flower. And then, then from that, it became a poem. But there's a lot of beautiful photography also on this website. And we have a lot of people that just, it's kind of like capturing a moment, because when you are diagnosed with Parkinson's also, it breaks your moments down into this granular form of, how am I going to function in this moment? Am I going to make it out of the house today? Sometimes. And sometimes if you get outside and you take a picture of just like the way the light comes through the woods, that's capturing a moment.
Do we have any photographers with us today? Or anyone that just
Lauren,
likes taking pictures?
Lauren Simmons is on. Lauren, do you want to come on?
Yeah, I did a lot of photography before I was diagnosed, and I still shoot some, but it's more difficult than it used to be. So it has changed my photography, because I can't go out hiking into the woods with a tripod on my shoulders and a backpack with all my heavy lenses and all that. But I still enjoy it. But I have totally also gone in another direction with watercolors and doodling and Zentangles and all the stuff that I never, ever, ever did before.
Oh,
It's really fun. I find it meditative to just sit and doodle.
yeah,
And it's gonna turn out like, but I'm fascinated by it.
yeah,
Please add it in.
Well, I will.
yeah,
Thanks.
definitely. My wife does Zentangle, and she loves it.
It's really fun.
What's that?
It's so meditative. Lauren, do you want to talk more about?
How do I explain it? It's like a repetition of patterns. They have all these different patterns that you follow. You do not have to be an artist. I don't consider myself super talented in that area, but it's a lot of sometimes just dots and lines and curves, and you
Okay.
repeat them over and over, and you can make some really, really interesting work out of it. Look on YouTube, just look up Zentangle. I do it all the time. Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
now I've done it too. It's very meditative.
Very.
Yeah.
When you're repeating these shapes or things over and over and over again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you just start out with one pattern, and then you slowly just develop the page with, maybe you start a new pattern right next to it, and then it's just like You're so focused on that, just that one pattern.
Hmm.
And they also recommend you use like a 3x3 piece of paper, not very big.
Yeah.
So you just get something small, so you're not faced with this huge blank page in front of you. There's nothing harder to do than to start something on an empty page. If you've got a little page, it's much easier.
Mhm.
Mm. Yep.
Better than an Escher, you know, the Escher, the artist Escher.
Yeah, with that feeling to it. Yeah.
Yeah, those very complex patterns, I mean, they look so cool. And if I looked at that, I would think there's no way in the world I could do that. But it
Hmm.
starts so simple and it's amazing what it turns into. I just go on YouTube and I follow the videos and it's really,
Yeah,
really
they have lots of people on YouTube that give instructions. I mean, you look at this picture here, and you look at this first part. They probably started just with this pattern right here. They drew this leaf-like outline, and then they filled it in.
Hmm.
And then they did the same thing over here, going a different way. And then at some point they started, so it starts out very basic, and you just slowly build on it.
and I combine mine with watercolor and it's really fun.
Ooh, I like that.
It's great for your, you know, dexterity, for your fine motor control. It's great for your brain. It's good for your mood.
It's very meditative, very relaxing for sure. So yeah, we have a bunch of different types of photography here. If you like photography, check these out. And they give kind of a explanation about what this meant to them. This is a picture taken on a bridge in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. For me, some days with Parkinson's feels like a tunnel, a vision of confusion or nonsensical situations, sometimes having no way out. The picture reminds me of my rabbit hole.
Mm. Mm.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, the one thing that we have not gotten to yet is we have started a podcast.
Yes.
And Karen, sorry, has been the one who has really gotten this up and going. So Karen, would you like to tell us more
Sure.
about it?
Sure. What we started, and it's not just me, but anyone that wanted to record. I made a phone call with a mutual friend. He wrote a book about running 6 marathons after the pandemic. He had never done this before, and this is a first-time author. So I just had an idea, why not share this story? So it's a new area of the Quiver website where there will be podcasts. They will be coming out more frequently, and I believe the open mic nights will be recorded, certain events and that the Quiver has, and also interviews with authors that have written these books. Because when you speak to the author and they share their story with you, it's not just what they write in the book also, but it's a conversation. So sometimes even if you have a conversation with a friend, you could feel free to record it and send it in. And then, you know, it could be a conversation about Parkinson's. We could create a podcast just from that. So it's kind of like anything that you create, we can compile and make it a podcast.
So you did the first one.
I did the first one. The first one that I did, I interviewed a newly diagnosed, an athlete that he had been newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, Joe Drake. He had never written a book before. And he was diagnosed before the pandemic, but it's a conversation with him about what even inspired him to write the book. It's not just giving away what's in the book, but it's kind of like it's a conversation with him and him sharing what got him started with the idea to write the book, his feelings about Parkinson's, the motivation that he received when he was running, when people were cheering for him, and he had never done this before. And so he was saying to me that with the diagnosis of Parkinson's, every day is a day that you're never going to have had before, because you don't know what you're going to get. So because of the pandemic, all the marathons that he had signed up to do were compressed. So he ran 6 marathons in something like 48 days, which I think for someone without Parkinson's would be an almost superhuman thing to do. And he did it. And the question I asked him too was, would he do it again? And he said that he was glad, he was actually grateful that he had Parkinson's, because he wouldn't give it up, because it brought him closer to his brother, because of the people he met and the things that he learned. So in 30 minutes, it's a very inspiring listen. So I think, it's just important to keep sharing your experiences.
Absolutely.
Because it motivates you and other people. Because sometimes, you get the diagnosis and you can go down that rabbit hole. So you have a way to express yourself in any way possible.
Yeah.
And this was just so inspiring because it was just a personal story, and it's amazing. It could be.
Thank you. Okay, I want to thank you, Jacob and Karen, for taking us through all of these different aspects of the website. I think it's wonderful. I think Lauren's doing some Zentangle as we speak. I saw her with a little paintbrush. Gotta show us your artwork when you're done. We're going to stop sharing your screen and we're going to share my screen now.
Okay.
We're going to wrap up a little bit, and
Yeah.
they will be available for a few minutes afterwards if you want to stay on and just have for an informal chat.
Sure.
So let's go to the next slide. So I just want to remind everybody, we have our peer-to-peer mentoring program, and which was talked about a lot at the World Parkinson's Congress last week. People are very interested in what we're doing, and we have developed this amazing peer support program for newly diagnosed women or women who are in crisis with their Parkinson's. We match them with a mentor, someone who they can talk to answer questions and just be there for them. And it's been a very successful program. If you're interested, just go to our peer support program on the website and click on it, and you can apply to be a mentee or a mentor. We need more mentors. So if you're interested, please join us. Next slide. So next week, we're going to have, I'm not quite sure how many, 4 or 5 women and maybe a couple of care partners talking about what they learned at the World Parkinson's Congress. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had 26 twitchy women together as a group on opening night with our care partners. It was amazing. And we were all over the place, and they knew it. So Twitchy Woman has become a brand out there. So be proud to be part of the group. And then in August, we have Synaptic Cure, which is a new program. It's an online healthcare system, basically. They are looking where you will see, it's hard for me to explain. There's a neurologist or a movement disorder specialist, a Parkinson's nurse, a social worker. They have all these different things available to you. And it's all online, which is great because we know that there are a lot of areas where people are unable to see a movement disorder specialist. And they are licensed in all 50 states to practice medicine. So we'll get some more information to you before that. And then after that, I'm not quite sure what's coming up. Schedule's gonna be a little bit crazy, but you know, we'll see. Okay, I know we have a yoga coming up and some other things. Okay, next slide. And our next book group is going to be Michael J. Fox's book, No Time Like the Future. I don't have a date yet. As soon as we have a date, we will let you know. It may be the August 6th date after our earlier meeting. But once we have the date, we will let you know about that. And unfortunately, I don't think he is an author who will come and speak to us, unless somebody knows him. Okay, next slide. Okay, we still have our chat groups going on Tuesday mornings, and on Sundays we have our Twitchies Without Partners, which is can be very intense. But if you're living alone and you have Parkinson's and you want to find a place to talk to other women to problem solve, that's the place to be. And I think that's it